Oh, hi guys, welcome. And who dat? I'm Joe. Thanks for tuning in to Rosenfield 10, where I cover our beloved Bless You Boys in black and gold, the New Orleans Saints. Are you a who dat? Are you a who dat fan? If you're a who dat fan, subscribe to this channel. I love the Saints as much as you do. I'm talking about them all the time. Keep me in your subscriptions, and anytime you want to talk about the Saints, watch one of my videos. You hear what I'm saying. Let me know what you think in the comments. I respond to my comments. And today we're going to do another look at the best prospects in every round for the Saints. I wanted to do some mock drafts and compare them. And I realized that because I have favorites in each round, it was just a variation of the different players that I have at the top of each round. So figured I would show you the quick list of everybody that I'm targeting. Yeah, and we've been through this before. It's one of them things I feel like I'm repeating myself. I've covered everything for the draft at this point, everything about the Saints and the team. So it's a holiday week this week. Easter will be next weekend, this weekend coming up, and I'm going to be real busy at my square job, but I'm going to put some content out anyway. And although I'm retreading everything, we'll uh we'll just take a look at it in a different way. So, yeah, I had about 5 or 6 mock drafts done where I just picked where we were slotted to pick, no moves made. And when I started comparing them, I was going to post them and have you guys choose which one you like the best. I realize it's just kind of variations, just grabbing different players and just seeing, if you grab the wide receiver in round one, then you grab the edge in round two, and you grab the cornerback and whatever. And I'm just going to pull up my favorite 12 players from each of the first 4 rounds. And this is what it looks like. I've shown my big board before, and I'll pull my big board up again after this. But it basically comes down to these 12 players in every round. The first 3 rounds, and then that fourth column is pretty much day 3. So you could probably get a variety of those players anywhere in the fourth round, fifth round, sixth round. I've done deep dives of prospects late in day 3, and we've highlighted a bunch of them. So instead of showing you all of those mocks, I'm just going to show you this list. I've got my 12 preferred players in the first round, and I have those listed according to my power rankings, my rankings from top to bottom, with Love all the way down to Malinoa. In the second column with the second round, those are in positional rankings. They're not in rankings of how I would choose them. And I haven't arranged the third round or the fourth round in a power ranking either. They're just kind of in a collection based on their position. So the first row is my first round, and it's in my power ranking. And then after that, you can rearrange the players any way you want. You can rearrange this first round any way you want. It's just the way that I've settled in on it right now, with Jeremiah Love at running back being my favorite prospect in the entire draft. I think he's the one with the fewest questions. I think he's the one that is going to be a good pro, and there's not a lot of questions. You get Love, you get the best player in the draft, and you just figure out the rest of your team. The same kind of goes with Caleb Downs and Sonny Styles and Rel Reese. That's what he wants to be called. That's what I'll call him, Rel Reese. And then I kind of like Cornell Tate at wide receiver before getting the edge rushers, Bain or Bailey. Now, I know most people would say forget the wide receiver and just go for the edge rusher, maybe the cornerback, but I got the wide receivers kind of trickled in there. I would probably lean toward Tate as a first round pick that's going to hit and be great for us, and then Bain and Bailey right there. I mean, you could put it any way you want. If I was drafting for the Saints and I missed out on the first four, Love, Downs, Styles, Reese, if I miss out on those four, then I'm probably contemplating trading back. If this defense for the Saints has a plan for Bain or Bailey and they think that it's going to be more effective than getting a second wide receiver, I don't want to look at it as getting a number two wide receiver. Most formations have two wide receivers out there, so you have two of them. Whether you want to consider one a number one and one a number two or whatever, you got two of them out there. So having a second wide receiver, I think having Tate or Lemon or Tyson as a second wide receiver with Olave would make this offense pretty good. And of course, I like Ioane and Malanoa at the end of the first round. I 11 and 12 on my rankings here, so if we trade down, those would be the guys I'd be looking to get. And since everybody's willing to pass on the wide receivers, if we did trade down, some of them wide receivers might still be there. You got guys like Mansour Delane at cornerback who might be so good teams want to trade up to get him if he lasts all the way to us at pick 8. And same thing with the wide receivers. I did a draft the other day where the Dolphins wanted to move up from 11 to 8, and they gave me their second round pick to do it. And they had Caleb Downs in mind. He was still on the board. I did the trade, and then after that, the Jets wanted to move up because they wanted to grab one of the wide receivers still on the board. So they moved up from 16 to 11, where I was at. Then they gave me a second round pick. So I ended up drafting at pick 16 in the first round, but I had three second round picks. So I was able to get Ioane the guard with the first round pick, and then I had three second round picks. I was able to get four players in the top 2 rounds instead of just two. So I could have stuck and picked. I would have grabbed Caleb Downs with the first round pick, and in the second round, I'd have had one choice, and I grabbed Chris Bell, the wide receiver. So sticking and picking, I got Caleb Downs and Chris Bell. Making the moves that I made, I ended up getting in the first round guard Ioane. In the second round, I still got Chris Bell, but I was also able to add defensive edge rusher Malachi Lawrence and cornerback Keontae Scott. So I propose that question to you. Would you rather have Caleb Downs and Chris Bell, or would you rather have Olai Vavega Yone, Chris Bell, Malachi Lawrence, and Keontae Scott? So, yeah, I missed on Downs, but I still ended up getting our nickel back with Keontae Scott in the second round. I end up getting four players altogether. I mean, I think that kind of a move is just fantastic to get three players in the second round row instead of just one. So that's my issue with the draft. If you're going to stick and pick, and you wanna choose which way you want to go, well, here's the list. Pick one out of row one, pick one out of row two, pick one out of row three, and there you go. Saints don't make any moves. You can have three players in those first three rows. Have at it. Have fun. You take whichever ones you want. You're a Reese guy. He falls to us. You go grab Reese. And then in the second round, get whoever you want. Third round, take one. Just take one. One in each round. Go for it. I had four in the first 2 rounds because I traded down. See, my issue with the first round is, besides love, I have I have kind of an issue with all of the picks. I mean, it might not be enough to steer me from grabbing the guy, but it's at least a question to ask. With Love, the only question is, what are you going to do with everybody else in the running back room? Because you're going to be really crowded. I figure Kamara's going to retire, and then we'll get rid of Kendre Miller, and then we'll have Achan and Love with, Devin Neal and Audric Estime as your backups. That's pretty good stuff to me. So I don't see any real downside to getting Jeremiah Love. He's probably not going to last. Caleb Downs, yeah, great player, great overall player. Basically a nickelback. And you can grab some nickels way later in the draft. You can get Keontae Scott or Traden Stukes in the second round. I've got AJ Halsey mentioned here as well. Halsey might not hold up well at the nickel slot against speedy wide receivers, but other than that, he would be a pretty good player in this defense. Yeah, so a lot of nickel situations you can address nickel in the third round if you wait till then and try to get the safety either Bud Clark or Jalen Kilgore. Even Kyle Lewis at linebacker can give you something at nickel. So and there's other players I haven't mentioned here. I'll pull up my really big board for a second and let you guys look at that again. There's lots of different options in the second round at cornerback if you think D'Angelo Pons can handle the nickel, or maybe later on with Chandler Rivers. There's lots of options. Maybe you get Keith Abney, and then you try moving Quincy Riley to nickel. Quincy Riley played some nickel in college, so there's lots of different ways to go, and we've heard the head coach mention it. Uh, there are in-house options. And we've re-signed Terrell Burgess, which is a big relief for me because at least we have one guy on this team that we know can play nickel right out of the gate. So he's not what you want your starting nickel to be, but it was definitely a piece we needed. And this big board here just shows you all of the different options. I've got plenty of players highlighted right here that are my favorites, including the 12 in each round that I showed you before, plus, and a real issue is going to be, whether these players last that long. So you may have to reach. The thing about the Saints is with this first draft, of the Loomis Moore era, I felt like they kind of reached for a few players at the time. It might be something that the Saints want to do. They might want to, instead of trading up to go get a guy, just secure the guy that you really like in that round. So last year, for instance, when we got Vernon Broughton in the third round, I had forever been mocking him in the fourth round to the Saints. We grabbed him in the third round. I thought, well, it's a bit of a reach, but at least we got our guy. You know, The other third round pick we had last year was Jonas Sanker, and I was forever mocking him to the Saints in the fourth round. When we got both players, I thought I liked both players, especially Sanker. I really liked Sanker, but it's kind of rich, but hey, at least we got our guys, and they ended up turning out all right. They would have been really good fourth round picks. We'll see how Broughton pans out, but in my opinion, it was a bit of a reach to grab Sanker in the third round, and it worked out great. Fourth round, thought Danny Stutzman was a fourth round grade. We got him in the fourth round. That one fit perfect. And then when we got Quincy Riley, I thought, usually he's there late in the fourth round, fifth round kind of deal. I always liked Riley. I was okay with that pick, but it still felt like a bit of a reach compared to how a lot of the players on the board were falling. So, in these mocks, the week leading up to the draft. So is that something the Saints might do? Pulling up my top 12 in each round again. Um, AJ Halsey is a late, typically a late second round pick. Traden Stukes is also a guy who's forever been a third round to fourth round projection, but I think he's going to fit into the second round. I think you're going to have to get him in the second round if you want him. Same thing with Keontae Scott. There was a time when Scott was a third round guy, and I don't think that's going to happen anymore. Another guy in my second round tier that would might be considered a reach, Keelan Rutledge at guard. Most people get him in the third round, and they think that's where he's going to fall, and I just don't. I think that somebody that needs a guard is going to take a chance on Rutledge in the second round. The Saints might have to do that if they want Rutledge. So when you look at the third round list I have here, I've got a ton of tight ends: Max Clare, Justin Joly, Sam Roush, Eli Raridan. Roush and Raridan are guys that on these mocks you can sometimes get in the fourth round. But I believe Roush and Raridan might end up getting taken in the second round. So I look at those two tight ends in the third round and I'm like, yeah, if they're still there at 75, then you grab them. Because I think Roush and Raridan are going to come into the league as really good run blockers at tight end. And they have the size and the athleticism to make it as a receiver. So there may be some teams that want to take a chance on that in the second round. I got him here in the third round. I don't know if the Saints are the type that would reach in the second round for one of those guys. You might have to if you want to get them. Another guy in the third round tier here, Nadami Tucker. Most people consider him a day three guy, but if you want him, you might have to grab him in the third round. Harold Perkins is a guy that I wouldn't really want to get until day three, but I have him at the third round level as well. Malachi Fields, that's a guy with size, that's a really good run blocker, and even though he has some aspects to his overall college game that needs development, it could very well be the team he was playing on, what he was asked to do. I'm hoping Fields is a talented enough guy where he can figure it out, get those yards per route run up and stuff like that, maybe work on some separation skills and stuff like that. But as a player with size that can run block and make decent contested catches, I'm a fan of Fields. It's not the only wide receiver you can get in the third round. There may be some leftovers, Skylar Bell or Chris Brazel or Jeremy Bernard, or you can even start to look at Ted Hurst. Yeah, so I've got Fields written there, but there's a lot of wide receivers in the third round you can consider. And in that fourth round slash day three row, I've got Bryce Lance and Jacoby Lane sitting there. If they're still there on day three, they'd be good receivers to get. I really like Jeremiah Wright, the guard, and I like the two centers, Jager Burton, Pat Coogan. A center is something we could consider getting. I've got Sam Hecht as a third round projection. You could also get Connor Lew in the second round, perhaps the third round. And yeah, defensive tackles. If you don't address defensive tackle in the first round or second round, I don't really like to fit in the third round. Most of the defensive tackles projected to go in the third round are nose tackles, and I kind of want to wait until day three if I don't get one early. I don't think Saints fans would be very happy if we only had one pick in the second round, and out of that row of players in the second round, we grab defensive tackle Christian Miller. I think that would probably upset a bunch of people. But if you don't get Miller or Hunter in the second round at defensive tackle, then you're really reaching, in my opinion, in the third round. Or you're just hoping something happens and there's somebody in the fourth round, day three, that you can get excited about. I like Chris McClellan. I like Rashad Benny, and I like Tim Keenan the third. But there's also a couple other guys you could get. There's Zane from Penn State, and there's a few other guys to look at. And late in the draft too, a lot of defensive linemen. So, you can avoid defensive tackle early and just hope you find a steal later. So there you go. You've got my favorites here. You can just play with it yourself instead of me showing you a bunch of mocks. Just take one from each of the first three rows. You get one pick in that first row, one pick in the second row, one pick in the third row. However you want to mix and match. If it works out this way, it would be best case scenario for the Saints if you're not trading down. And in that fourth round row, that fourth row there, you just pick two of them because you get two late fourth round picks. You hope somebody's still there when you're picking that late in the fourth round, but there's a chance you can still get two of those guys. So there you go. Four rows of players, 48 players total. Take one from the first row, one from the second row, one from the third row, grab two in the fourth row, and make up your own perfect mock draft. And if this list of players isn't enough for you, I'll pull up the big board one more time. There you go. Take one from the top row, one from the second row, one from the third row, and take two from the fourth row. And there you go. You've got yourself your mock drafts. Bunch of them. Instead of showing you a bunch of them, I'm just going to give you all these players to look at and just pick whatever you think is the best. Personally, I think best case scenario for the Saints would be something that happened with that mock draft I did the other day, where Miami's willing to give you a second round pick to move up from 11 to 8. So you take it. And then the Jets are willing to give you a second round pick to move up from 16 to 11. You take it. And then, okay, so you don't get Caleb Downs. You don't get Jeremiah Love. Who else was on the board at the time? One of the wide receivers, I guess you could have taken. Mansour Delane was still there with pick 8. And Delane was gone by the time 11 came up, but I traded down from 11 to 16. I ended up getting the guard, Ioane, and I'm happy with that because he's going to take Cesar Ruiz's place, and we've got a bona fide starter with a first round pick, and then we had 3 picks in the second round, and that made me happy because that second round is just chock block full of great players, and picking 3 out of that row instead of one, just one, it kind of made me happy. That would be best case scenario for me for the Saints. Trade down twice in the first round, get 2 extra second round picks, and you still get one of my top 12 guys in the guard. And then instead of just getting Chris Bell in the second round, you can get Chris Bell, edge rusher Malachi Lawrence, and cornerback Keontae Scott. Yeah. So there you go. That's my quick video for y'all today. We're just driving down the same roads, but we're on the way to the draft. Subscribe to this channel. I will be doing more. I'll probably have another video Thursday, even though it's a busy week for me. And then after Easter, it's going to let up a little bit. I have the whole week off of my square job the week of the draft, so I'll be able to put out a bunch of content and I'll be able to cover the draft as it's happening. So subscribe to the channel, and in the next couple of weeks, you'll get some more Saints content. And until the next one, I'll talk to you later. Who dat?